Hi, everyone. I'm James Garbett.
And I'm Denny Dumas.
And this is the Garbett Dumas Real Estate Podcast. Denny, first-time home buyers are really getting affected by our prices in this market. Let's use the next 5 to 30 minutes, depending how long this goes, to share our thoughts on how we can help first-time home buyers buy their next home. Because I think any advantage that is available, they should be aware of. And so the whole purpose here, listeners, is to make sure you are aware of what you have available to you to help you buy your next home.
Before we get into that, I think it'd be interesting to share what our first property was.
Oh, yeah.
How much we paid for it and what that would be worth today. Because I'm thinking, you mentioned it's difficult for first-time buyers. It absolutely is. We've seen prices more than maybe just about double since I bought my first property in New West. That was 2012. It was a one-bedroom condo in Victoria Hill. It was brand new at the time. I paid $272,000 for it. And now that would be worth about $450 probably. Maybe $450 to $475. Maybe just shy of $500.
We sold a one-bedroom in a wood frame Victoria Hill earlier this year for $510.
But you're a phenomenal realtor.
That's true. It's true. Yeah, probably $475.
Maybe $475.
No, I don't think it's probably 500. Let's go with $500K.
Sure.
So $500K, $272. Carlisle.
What
was the unit number?
1809.
You know what? Mine was a few years before. And, I can't even remember the unit number, but I want to say it was unit 1306 at 4178 Dawson.
Tandem.
Tandem, Burnaby. North. And I bought it as a pre-sale, and I believe it was 2003?
That early.
I think it was 2003. Maybe it was 2004. I bought it as a pre-sale 2003, 2004, somewhere around there. And it closed at 196.9 or something like that. It was 196,900. And I think today that unit is probably worth, 550 would be my guess, maybe 600,000. I haven't looked at the latest sales at Tandem and Burnaby, but my guess is it's probably around 900 a square foot, and that would put it in the high fives.
Yeah.
Many moons ago, Denny, and I probably should have held it back. I think I rented that place for $1,300 a month, and I think today's rents for something like that might be in the neighborhood of $2,600 to $2,800 a month. How times change.
It's wild. Rents are crazy right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I remember at the time that I bought that condo, I could buy a house. There was a house on Rumble in Burnaby South that was $350,000. So, different time. Different era.
Yikes. Man, $350.
But let's stop this, let's stop talking about how cheap things were and start helping people save up for the expensive things of today. So I want to talk about, there's like 4 items that first-time home buyers have available to them. And some of them are more new and more impactful than others. So I'm going to breeze over, this one. So first-time home buyers get a property transfer tax exemption for purchases up to $500,000. And if it's between $500,000 and $525,000, they get a partial exemption. So, I wouldn't buy a property that just meets it for that reason, but it is helpful to save on property transfer tax, which is, 1% on the first $200,000, 2% on the balance thereafter. So if you're buying a $500,000 place, that's $10,000 worth of property transfer tax savings that you have as a first-time home buyer.
And the big stipulation with this exemption is it has to be your principal residence for 12 months.
Yeah. We have the home buyers plan, which is when you can withdraw your RRSPs up to $35,000 tax-free, but you have to pay it back within 15 years.
15 years.
That's been available to you. So great. If you don't have RRSPs, make sure you get them. You want to take advantage of that. And then there's also the first-time home buyers incentive, which is where the government will match 5 to 10% of your purchase price to a down payment. And in return, you repay the government 5 to 10% of the market value when you sell. I will say that if it appreciates when you sell, they do have a capped gain at 8%. So I think that was implemented after they announced it and they changed it. So I guess that's good upside. I think there's when you combine some of these incentives, if they unless they restrict that, it can really help someone get in the market that wouldn't be able to get in before. I mean, if you don't have the down payment, this is a great option to get your foot in the door. And right now, condos in some areas haven't really seen a big gain in 5 years. I mean, not everyone's. I mean, the first-time buyer's not necessarily buying a Yaletown condo, but that would be an example. Mm-hmm. When you look back at the prices they were going for even 6 years ago in 2017 to today, it's not a huge gain. And when I look at the next 6 years, I think there's an argument to say there might be some gain there. So they're, using this for the right buyer that this is the difference between owning and not owning, something worth considering. I don't know anyone that's taken advantage of this plan.
I don't know anyone that's done it either. That was going to be my question is how many people are actually using this plan where the government's giving them money and taking a percentage?
Probably some data on that.
Yeah.
And that was not Googled before this episode. So it clearly is a very small percentage. I think one thing that we see a lot of with first-time buyers is gifted money to qualify. I think there's an absurd, a large portion of first-time home buyers in BC and Vancouver specifically that get gifted money from family members to qualify for a mortgage. And it makes sense. Our prices are high. There's no question about it. Most people would have to have help of some sort. But I think that gift of money can be a little bit more pre-planned nowadays with what I think is probably one of the best new incentives or one of the best new policies to help first-time home buyers, and that's the First Home Savings Account that they announced. So First Home Savings Account is basically you can contribute upwards of $40,000 on a tax-free basis to a savings account and invest that money in stocks or GICs or mutual funds and use it towards purchasing a home. It's like an RSP in that your contributions are tax deductible. So you can contribute up to $8,000 a year. And so if you earn $50,000 a year and you contribute $8,000 in that year, your taxed income is $42,000. So there's savings of paid income tax, and the cap is $8,000 a year. So it takes you, in theory, and I think it came into effect April 1st of this year, 2023. But in theory, it's going to take you 5 years to save up that full amount. When you like a TFSA, when you withdraw the money to buy a home, it's tax-free. So it's got the benefits of an RSP that it can reduce your annual income tax, and it's got the benefits of a TFSA where you're not paying taxes on the gain. And to me, that makes this program an absolute no-brainer. It's available to anyone 18 years or older. So parents, if you're listening to this right now and you have an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, even if they're 35, $8,000 a year, no-brainer. It makes a lot of sense. And I think this is one of the greatest tools. Instead of gifting your child money when they're buying a home, $8,000 a year for 5 years in this First Home Savings Account, do it. Do it tomorrow. Sorry, Denny, I got too passionate there.
You're really fired up.
Yeah,
Jamie was lined up at the bank on April 1st in the morning to set up 3 accounts for his kids.
I'm not a first-time home buyer. My kids are too young for this.
Oh, fair enough. You got to be 18?
18 years old. Yeah, 18 years old. So just, there is a time for an hour, let's talk about some difference here. So, today, you're not going to get a lot of gain from this First Home Savings Account, because you can contribute $8,000. This is more like planning for 5 years from now.
Yeah.
So in theory, if you're a high income individual, you would probably get more advantage from having a large RSP contribution. Like I think an example is if you make north of $170,000 a year, you can contribute in your RSPs of say if you made 180 grand, you can contribute to your RSPs $30,000, and you can pull that out for, basically it's a larger contribution. There's less of a cap annually for higher income earners, whereas it's a straight $8,000 cap across the board. And TFSAs make sense, and this is a home version of it with tax deductible contributions.
It's kind of like a combination of those two accounts, right? A TFSA and an RSP. A TFSA, the disadvantage is you're putting taxed income into it. And you're when you do pull money out of it, you're pulling out money tax-free. So everything you've invested in mutual funds and and anything inside of your umbrella TFSA is not taxed when you pull it out, but it goes in as taxed income. An RSP goes in as non-taxed income, comes out as a first-time buyer, not taxed, but you have to pay it back in 15 years.
Pay back 15 years. Yeah.
This account, this home buyer savings account, the negative is the cap and the time frame, I think. Like in 5 years from now, how much more expensive is that one-bedroom condo that now, let's say, to qualify for the first-time buyer PTT exemption, let's say you're paying $500,000. How much more expensive is that one-bedroom condo in 5 years from now? Does that forego, or even is that way above the savings of this account going in?
Vancouver, probably.
Totally.
It's a moving target, but like it's better than nothing. I mean, if these are for people that don't have enough to buy a home and are just starting saving, it's a great option. And it can be transferred from, you can transfer funds from your first home savings account to your RSPs without tax implications. So if you say you don't use it and you want to transfer it, you can do so. I don't know if it goes.
I don't think you'd want to, because let's say you don't use this money for a first-time purchase. When you're pulling it out of an RSP, you're going to get taxed on it.
Correct. But
and is this first-time homebuyer savings account, is it solely for a purchase? Is that the only time you're allowed to take money out of it?
It's solely for a purchase for a first-time homebuyer that is occupying the property for their primary residence within 12 months of buying.
Okay. So if after 5 years you do not buy a property, you have the option to just transfer to your RSP.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. That's what I understand. Now, there might be some fine print. Don't sue me if I got that wrong. I'm not your tax, I'm not your accountant, but that's what I read. That's what I listened. That's how I heard it. Yeah. So I mean, great program to get started with the savings. You still might be frustrated with Vancouver real estate prices, but I'd like to think that areas like Kamloops or the Vancouver Island will still have affordable options. But if you don't want to live there, this program's only for those that move into the property.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a really good option for young people who are maybe going through university, have a part-time job, have some extra cash that don't know what to do with it. I think investing through this type of account in the hopes of buying a property in a few years from now is a really good option.
If you combined 5 years of savings with a first home savings account, and you might not have enough to get that full down payment, but maybe you marry it up with the first time home buyers incentives where the government contributes 5 to 10% of your purchase price for down payment. I mean, those two combined could help someone be a homeowner that never imagined they would be a homeowner. Denny, if you're a first time buyer, you just don't know where to start and what to do, who do you call?
Real estate is funny. Our team, we work with everyone from like 19, 20-year-olds buying their very first property who have obviously never done this before and know very little about Greater Vancouver real estate, to very savvy investors and, high income earners who are upsizing to multi-million-dollar properties. And the first-time home buyers are always very fun. There's like this different level of excitement around the first-time home buyer, and there's a lot of pride in the education factor for the realtors like our team that help first-time home buyers all the time. So if you're a first-time home buyer, want some more information about these accounts, we can direct you to some good tax people, because that's not us, but we can definitely assist you in some cool properties around Greater Vancouver.
I think the best part when it comes to first-time home buyers is when you see it 5-10 years later that they sell and you see how much equity they gained. That's a rewarding experience, because our markets had some good runs, and there's been some clients that have made some great gains. Also, we do a lot of work in Port Moody and New Westminster, which are prominent. Like, they have a lot of condos in those markets. I mean, specifically New West. And if you are looking for lower price point condos, Burnaby, New West, Coquitlam, Port Moody, those are markets we do a lot of work in. And I'd say particularly Lake Coquitlam and New Westminster have some of the most affordable condos out there. And if you're willing to go as far as Port Coquitlam, that Shaughnessy Strip has a lot of wood frame, post 2000 built apartments that are some of the most inexpensive rain screen condos that you'll find in the Lower Mainland.
That's often a comment with younger people who maybe rent in Vancouver or live downtown. Yeah. Is, well, what can you even get for $500K? And if you look outside of Vancouver, inside Vancouver proper, it's very difficult. We kind of talked before we jumped on the podcast. Exactly. You're purchasing a liability.
I'm joking.
You're buying a one-bedroom condo in a 1990s building that potentially needs some exterior work and a new roof in the next few years. And that's exhausting and stressful to consider. But outside of Vancouver proper, New West has some great options under $500,000. Port Moody, they're few and far between today, but there's some right around that $500K mark. But Poco has fantastic options, and you can get basically a new condo built in the last 5 years that looks very pretty, that is a lot bigger than what you get in Vancouver. And you're across the street from a park and walking to some cool amenities, and Poco just keeps getting better and better every year. And that's not going to slow down.
Let's leave it at that. First-time home buyers, good luck.
Let's do it.
We hope you got some value out of this.